We as a species need a healthy amount of dynamism in order to exist. You may ask, what is dynamism? What is this concept? What is this dynamism? What's that? No, seriously. We need as a species a healthy amount of dynamism to exist. They say the mark of high intelligence is the ability to adapt to circumstances. I truly believe that. So, how does that involve dynamism? Dynamism, mercurialness, it's the ability to adapt, the ability to change, the ability to, adapt and change, for lack of a better word, because I couldn't find the word. We need this ability. There's a lot of people who are very static in their character, as in, once you get to know them, on a very surface level, you can predict everything about them and it'll mostly be true. It's not good, because the more predictable you are, the more complacent you tend to be in terms of who you are and your character makeup. And the more complacent you are in terms of your character, the less likely you are to progress the world. And the world isn't all about, let's progress. Everything isn't good. Everything about progressivism isn't good per se, Just because we progress doesn't mean that's a good thing in and of itself. But the thing about dynamism is it's kind of like, okay, if anybody's watched basketball, you know about Kobe. You know Kobe had the Mamba mentality. How he describes the Mamba mentality is basically this curiosity inside of you to just figure out things and to constantly evolve and adapt given like the landscape of the NBA. So with Kobe, I'll use the example of Kobe. Sorry, got some coffee burp. Look at that pec, bro. Look at that pec muscle. But yeah, so Kobe, his early career, he was pretty athletic, and he was pretty athletic, so he could get to the rack a whole bunch and get some easy layups and dunks, but he didn't have the mid-range game. So he was limited as a rookie and limited in his first couple of years because he didn't have the mid-range / the outside shot in order to compete at the highest level that he knew he could. So what he did, he went off season, trained a whole bunch, trained his midi, trained his turnarounds, trained his faders, trained everything basically. And then eventually he became a very complete scorer. And then in like 2005, 2006, he was averaging like something like 35 points a game on a trash Lakers team. But this just goes to show that there needs to be dynamism, because for every Kobe Bryant there is, there's like 1,000 to 1,000,000 other people who just get into a thing and are very complacent with what they have because there's no dynamism of character. They get to the league based off of, I'm going to continue with the basketball example because it makes sense. They get to the league based off of their crazy, insane athleticism, and they're in the league, they're getting their buckets or whatnot, and they see that mostly everybody else in the league has this crazy sort of athleticism, but they don't adapt. They don't be like, oh, okay, now I gotta work on my game on the off time, because obviously they're gonna go to practices and work on their game at practice, but they're not taking their time to really evolve their game on their off time, because you can only do so much in team practices, because that's not all day. Now, I'm not saying you have to be as committed as Kobe, because Kobe, he was working like all fucking day, and I get it. Everybody has a life, we all got different circumstances in our lives, so we can't all just sit there and practice all day, every day, for years. It'd be good to, can't lie, it'd be good to, but we can't all do that. So, where was I? Yeah, basically. So you have these players that get into the league off of crazy athleticism and they don't evolve. So they're doing their thing, they're getting their money, but like by the time they're like 29, 30-ish, sometimes even earlier, like 27, because they haven't evolved, teams are less willing to give them contracts. Yeah, I know. Look how nasty that looks. But teams are less willing to give them contracts. Teams are less willing to pay them. Teams are less willing to take a punt on them, because when you're young and you have these talents, there's an air of unpredictability around you, because nobody knows if you are going to progress. You know, they see the potential, but nobody knows if you're going to reach the potential. Once you're around like that later age in your athletic career, it's kind of a given, like, you are what you are, in a sense. Like, obviously you can still progress. Like, there are plenty of people who progress later in their basketball careers, like Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd came out as a beast. He was a beast since the beginning, but he couldn't shoot for shit. Like, legitimately couldn't shoot for shit. A lot of people would just be fine being a beast because he was putting up triple doubles. He got to the NBA Finals with his Brooklyn Nets back in like the day. So this man could have easily gotten complacent, but no, he didn't want to. He kept working on his jump shot, and then eventually he becomes a big part of the 2011 Dirk team that beat the Heat because of his 3-point shooting. Like, he was fucking on fire that series. Other players would not have always progressed as much as him. You know, that just shows the dynamism of character. That shows that unending want to progress and to change. You know, we as humans, we're more like chameleons than we are like monitor lizards or like alligators or something. You know, we have the ability to change and to adapt. Like, okay, so I see it as there are types of people like me who, for different circumstances and different social situations, you bring out a different part of yourself. I think the term is code switching, although that might be more for, like, you know, when black people change their, like, how they talk around like in professional settings, or depending on who they talk to. I'm pretty sure that's what code switching is. But there's an element of code switching in everyday life where like I talk to my past girlfriends differently than I would talk to the bros, you know? That's just how it is. I'm pretty sure other people do that as well. No, not even pretty sure. I know other people do that as well. But then there are some people who don't change at all. Like, there's some people who bring their same frame to every circumstance. And I'm not saying anything is wrong with that, but there are certain situations where that frame may not work. Like, let's say you're always the loud and rambunctious guy, right? You're always just loud, rambunctious, always talking to people, always like just trying to have fun and whatnot. You go to a funeral of someone you don't really know, but it's like the grandma of one of your friends or whatnot. And at this funeral, you still have brought this loud, rambunctious part of you. Not even part of you, it's just you because you're on Switch. That's not appropriate, you know? You're probably gonna get looks, you're probably gonna even get talked to at the side, like, yo, bro, chill out. Like, come on, have some fucking etiquette, have some respect. That's the thing about dynamism. Dynamism allows you to recognize when to bring out certain parts of yourself and when to adapt, you know? Because, like I said, you wouldn't talk to a priest how you talk to your girlfriend. Or you wouldn't talk to your child how you talk to your mother, you know? There's differences to it. And that's where the mental dynamism needs. We can't get complacent, because once we get complacent, then we're not progressing. And I was saying this earlier, I got caught into the basketball trap, but when you're not progressing, then there's society itself cannot really improve, because there's a whole bunch of people that aren't progressing, you know? There's a whole bunch of people that aren't adapting to the times. There's a whole bunch of people that are still stuck in their old ways. But with mental dynamism, we progress towards a better future, you know? I think I'm making sense. If I'm not making sense, that's really tough for the viewer. Even still, there's just, you need to bring something different to the table, because Now, this may be hard for a lot of people to like hear, but we are animals, so we need to, in some sense, stimulate each other. As in, yeah, I know you like that, but like if you are the same person day in day out, constant, people are just going to get tired of you. There's no doubt in my mind. Now, if you are still with people who are not dynamic, who are static in character, they might just be fine with that. Like you could be the same group of people that you were at 13, or not 13. You could be the same group of people that you were at 16 all the way till you're like 50 and so on. Like you could still there's a lot of people like that. And there's not necessarily something wrong with that. I'm just saying that the world is progressing towards a more dynamic place, in my opinion. So we need the dynamic characters and the dynamic ability to adapt to the times and to constantly change our character. Not constantly change our character, because then it sounds bad. It sounds like you just shouldn't be happy with yourself, which is not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is you just need to bring something new to the table. Why I was bringing up the stimulate each other thing is because, especially now in a time where everybody's so fucking stimulated from everything, look at the future. Whether you like it or not, Gen Z is the future, right? So if Gen Z has the characteristics, or if a major characteristic of Gen Z is this inability to pay attention, this inability to be fine and bored, or inability to just how do I put this? Inability to like static circumstances. And we need to adapt to the times, because these are the people that are going to be making laws. These are the people that are going to be birthing and parenting the next generation. So in order to adapt to the times, you need to be dynamic. You just need to be dynamic. I mean, I probably haven't done the best job of explaining, but you need to be dynamic.